Hello everyone, and thank you for watching Balancing Your GI System. I'm Dr. Adam Seay. You're probably watching this video because you're struggling with your gastrointestinal system. It's attacking you. You probably feel like when you go to eat something is causing more harm than benefit. You may be struggling with an autoimmune disease. You may have Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. You may have an H. pylori infection, or you may have constipation. You may have chronic, diarrhea. There's so many different disorders that are out there for the gastrointestinal system. While this video is not going to highlight each one of those, we're just going to highlight kind of a therapeutic approach that I do that is unique and that can help to kind of get to the root cause of those gastrointestinal issues. So a lot of times we have to put the pieces of the puzzle together because your body is not just made up of one system. It is multiple systems all working together to create you. And to usually to achieve wellness, you have to put those things back into balance, putting those pieces of the puzzle back together. So trying to attain balance is very difficult. It's trying to figure out what parts are messed up. And it takes a lot of detective work to actually be able to do that. So we're going to highlight a few things as to what I do that helps us to maintain or to get to that point. Usually, again, GI issues are part of a larger problem. So it's not just, hey, that's the sole thing. There could be other things happening too that's contributing to the gastrointestinal issue that you have. What I usually want to do is we want to do proper testing. Because a lot of times people will be diagnosed this. It may just be based on symptoms, or they may not have been properly tested. So testing can give us a lot of information to help us achieve balance for the person. We also want to look at proper dietary intake, because so often people may be eating foods that they had no idea are adding gasoline to the fire. And so sometimes we want to identify those. It goes back into testing as well. We have to identify what foods are aggravating you and contributing to your gastrointestinal issue. And then we also want to do some proper nutritional support, because we cannot adequately rebuild and repair without proper nutrients. Typically with gastrointestinal problems, most people aren't getting good nutrient absorption to begin with because of certain things that they have, whether it be bugs or gut integrity may be off, and sometimes this contributes to nutritional deficiencies. So a lot of times we want to identify those and replace as we repair the gastrointestinal system. So my approach is kind of multi-dimensional. So this little diagram kind of shows my approach as to how we attack this. A lot of times we want to identify toxins, because toxins will contribute so often to gastrointestinal issues, but also they overwhelm the body. So we've got to remove and reduce the toxic load that the person's having. There can also be allergy sensitivities that the person has that contributes to inflammation and drives them into a bad state in their gastrointestinal system. The other thing too is infection. And you tend to think, well, I've got a gastrointestinal issue. They've already ruled out infection. Well, they probably did from an acute standpoint. But sometimes we find some of these things are chronic and they're not being detected. Some bugs are very, very hard to pin down, and they can contribute to gastrointestinal issues. So a lot of times you have to look at this from multiple different viewpoints, and sometimes you have to go into very advanced tests to pick up if there is an infection that's there. The other thing that we're going to also address is kind of these other four components or quadrants that are kind of woven into the whole scheme of toxins, allergies, and also infection. So here's the four interconnected parts that a lot of practitioners avoid. The first one over here is immune dysfunction. A lot of times the body is in this heightened state of immune regulation where it may be upregulated, going after self, attacking self, kind of perpetuating a chronic inflammatory response that is contributing to pain and discomfort in the gastrointestinal system. We have to figure out where that system is messed up and how we can correct that and try to bring balance back into the system, because otherwise your body's just going to continue to perpetuate that inflammatory response. The other one is kind of the connection between the brain and the gut. And is having gastrointestinal issues, you may be experiencing that right now. And you can say, oh yeah, well, I have a lot of brain fog. I notice I'm depressed, I'm anxious. There's a lot of connection between the gut and the brain. So a lot of times we have to identify certain, infection or microbes that can alter, brain and neurotransmitter production. A lot of times infection And immune stimulation, again, or immune dysfunction, can drive the body to make a compound called quinolinic acid. And if you have a preference to make quinolinic acid, you're not going to make serotonin. So then the person wonders, like, well, why am I depressed? I'm depressed because I'm hurting, but yeah, that also could be due to an infection that or an overgrowth of bacteria that is not being detected. So that is a huge component to the balancing process. The other one that is so often missed are parasites. And parasites, you tend to think, well, I've had advanced tests done. They didn't show any parasites. And we see this quite often. We'll do advanced lab tests, advanced stool analysis, and nothing shows up. And I think what happens a lot of times is these things are very hard to detect. The reason for that is they go through a self-destructive mechanism, or like an auto-digestion is ultimately what they go through, and that happens usually within a certain time frame of them leaving the intestine. So unless you have somebody that is going to examine that stool analysis within 20-30 minutes, most of the time you're not going to see these things that are showing up. However, they are very, very common. And a lot of times we have to look at the whole, clinical picture of what may be happening. And then sometimes these things are there, creating a low-grade issue over a long period of time. Because some of these things don't give you these really, really bad acute symptoms. Some of them will just come in, take your nutrients. They'll come in and they want you to live, because guess what you're doing to them? You're helping to feed them. So they don't want you to go away. They want you to stay alive, but they want you to continue to feed them. So they can start to create a chronic problem in people, and most people chalk that up to something completely different. So again, that's something that's often overlooked. We got to get that and bring balance back to the system. The last one is cellular health. Cellular health is vital to getting the body healthy, because you can never get well until you fix the cell. And so if you don't fix the cell, you'll never get well. You have to resuscitate the mitochondria, get things moving, get those nutrients into the cell, and kick up ATP production so that your body can then function better and bring balance back to the whole system. So that is those 4 hidden components that medicine and other practitioners often overlook. So again, a little bit more of my approach. We don't guess, we like to test. So the best way is usually kind of looking at comprehensive testing to see what are we up against and what can we do to help the body bring that balance back. The other one is we want to nourish the body. We don't want to poison yourself back to health. And I kind of say that you can't really poison yourself back to health. So we have to at some point look at the things that you're continuing to do that may add to the toxic load. We have to remove some of those things out. Obviously, we're not going to be completely rid of toxins. It's impossible. They're everywhere. But we want to improve the body's ability to clear. And if you don't continue to remove sources that are adding to the problem, you're never really going to get healthy. So we want to nourish the system, nourish the body to help bring balance back as well. And then we also want to balance the terrain. The body is made up of, they estimate 100 trillion different organisms, and we're outnumbered when it comes to the number of cells that we have. We have far more bugs in us than cells. So we have to keep that terrain in balance. And doing so, that requires a lot of legwork and a lot of knowledge of how to bring that balance in, and that's what we help you with. And then the last thing that we do is we offer multiple options for you to go in and support this. So you don't think, oh gosh, I can't do all these different tests. It's okay. Part of what we do is we sit down with you and go over what is the best for you and come up with a game plan that makes sense for you and stays within what your means are. So we don't want to exceed that as well. So there are several options that we have. Don't feel overwhelmed that, oh gosh, he's going to recommend a ton of stuff. There may be only a few things that we do to start. Everything takes time. These things don't turn around, overnight, because they didn't get there overnight. So it takes time, and we can help you with that. So what I want to offer for you is a free consultation. We'll sit down with that. We'll set aside about 15 minutes, kind of look over what you're going through, and then come up with a game plan for you as to what we can do to help you with that. Kind of review your health history, look at any other labs that you may have had done, and kind of come up with a strategic plan for you to help you get balance back to your gastrointestinal system. As always, we do always have a waiver, and it says if you decide to purchase additional treatment, you have the legal right to change your mind within 3 days and receive a full refund. If you want to give my office a call, feel free. My number is 919-662-0520, or you can feel free to reach out to me via email. My email address is aceydc at seawellness.com. So that's ACDC at seawellness.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you.